I don't know if you can see my phone as I hold it up to the screen here, but you can see what time it is. It's 3:06 in the morning. Okay, let's see if I can fold for you right there. It's 3:06 in the morning on December the 6th. You can see if I open my shades behind me, it's still dark outside. And the reason I show you that is because if you are a justice impacted person, it's super important to be thinking about how are you going to create meaning in your life. If you can create meaning in your life, it's as if that old saying is, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life because you love what you do. It's what defines you. It is what gives you meaning. And it's my hope that you can find a pathway that will lead to meaning in your life, that will allow you to say, regardless of what external forces come, I feel so good about what I am doing. I am motivated to get up early in the morning, even as early as 3:06 in the morning. I've been up already for an hour trying to prepare in ways that will help me stay committed and stay focused to this passion I have about sharing as much as I can with justice impacted people. Because I know that many people who go into the system, they allow the external forces to completely obliterate hope and confidence in their life. But there's a pathway to saying, I can overcome these challenges. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens by finding something that you can do, and you can feel great about saying, this is what defines me. This is what gets me up in the morning, is this passion I have to try and make a contribution to the lives of other people. And when I get these letters from people that write me from all over the country, people who are in jail or prison going through the toughest time in their lives, and they're saying, hey, you're giving me hope to feel as if there is a better life around you, I want to continue giving you that hope. I want to show you that if you work hard and if you architect and engineer a plan, you can create meaning in your life. I would love to say that I learned these lessons or I developed these lessons on my own, but I didn't. I am just like every member of our community. My name is Michael Santos. I am the founder of Prison Professors, and I went through a lengthy criminal justice proceedings that resulted in a 45-year sentence. It resulted in me going through a trial. By the time a judge sentenced me and I got into the Bureau of Prisons, I had to serve 9,500 days, 26 years. And the only way that I could do that was to create meaning in my life. And that's what today's daily discussion is all about. It's about creating meaning. I want you to create so much meaning in your life that regardless of what happens, you always have the strength that you could muster and grow stronger. And that now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn to the blurb for today's daily discussion lesson, where I'll talk about really one of my mentors, Viktor Frankl, and his celebrated work, Man's Search for Meaning. It helped many people through challenging times. I read his book during an awkward transition after a jury convicted me, but before a judge sentenced me. One of his quotes inspired me, which is, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. So think about that. You may be going through a very difficult situation. You may not have any control over what a prosecutor does, over what a judge does, over what the Bureau of Prisons may do, over your cellmate, over what they're serving for lunch. But you could always change yourself. You could always focus on getting stronger, getting better. And I have really news for you that I have to share, because I wouldn't be genuine or authentic if I didn't share that just because you're getting through today's challenge, that doesn't mean more challenges will follow in the months, years, and decades ahead. And when those challenges come, you've got to have your pathway, your pattern to overcome it. Now let's turn to today's daily discussion, and we'll discuss it after I finish reading the lesson. And here is the situation. I was in my 25th year, only a few months away before authorities would allow me to transfer to a halfway house in San Francisco. In preparation for the career I intended to launch when I got out, I used those final months to interview other people in prison. I collected information to write new chapters for a manuscript. I intended to title the new book White Collar. By 2012, I had written several manuscripts. The first manuscripts were for an academic audience. I wrote about prison and profiles from prison for publishing houses that sold to universities. Then I wrote Inside Life Behind Bars in America. With my wife's help, I launched a publishing company. Instead of dealing with the long wait of publishing houses, I could publish my work independently through my wife, Carol. I wrote books to teach and inspire justice-impacted people. I intended to publish White Collar with expectations of using the resource to build a consulting business. Stories and lessons from White Collar would help business leaders understand how easily their decisions could lead to government investigations and criminal charges. Through that effort, I met Andres Puckey. Andres served a 15-month sentence for obstruction of justice. After listening to his story, I asked if he would allow me to write a chapter about his progress. The interview led to a ghostwriting project. Andres told me about how he founded Ameridebt while he was finishing undergraduate studies in business at the University of Maryland. He grew the company to more than 250,000 customers, and Ameridebt became insanely profitable. In 2005, the Federal Trade Commission sued Andres, accusing him of violating fair trade laws. Andres fought the FTC until the government froze his money. Without resources, he couldn't continue litigation, and he agreed to settle the civil case for $170 million. I met Andres in prison because several years after he settled with the FTC, the government accused him of failing to live up to the terms of his agreement to cooperate with the agency. The DOJ then indicted Andres for obstruction of justice. When Andres and I walked the track together in 2012, he told me his story. That's where I first learned about a new company he had launched called Sanctuary Belize. Andres owned 14,000 acres on the ocean in Belize. While we walked, he told me about how he had converted the jungle into a tropical paradise with 1,000 home sites in the waterfront community. I considered him a friend and a mentor who could teach me a great deal about business. I would need those lessons once I left prison and began building my life in society. As a result of writing the manuscript about Andres, we became good friends. When I finished serving my sentence, he offered me a job. I tried working with his team, but I didn't get along with his head of sales. Although I kept a desk and office space at his company, I used my time to launch Prison Professors as I felt passionately about improving outcomes of America's criminal justice system. Simultaneously, I focused on building my portfolio of real estate investments. Several years later, in 2018, Andres offered me an opportunity to invest in a new development. To make a long story short, I invested $1.4 million into a large-scale real estate project he intended to build in Costa Rica. The FTC sued Andres again 2 months after I provided him with a cashier's check for my investment. As a result of that lawsuit, the government froze the $1.4 million I invested. On the advice of counsel, I sued Andres' company to recover my investment. When I sued the company, the FTC responded by suing me. According to the government lawyers, I knew, or should have known, that Andres violated consumer protection laws. Since I met Andres in prison, I became an easy target for the agency, and by suing me, the agency could recover the money I had invested. Those consequences don't follow for everyone serving multiple decades, but I experienced it. After litigating for a year, I questioned my strategy. Should I walk away from $5 million in assets I built during my first 5 years of liberty? Or should I fight the government to get all my money back? Questions help us determine the best strategies to engineer the pursuit of meaning in our life. In other books, I reveal details of that investment debacle. More importantly, I show how the lessons I learned from leaders while I served my sentence helped me to rebuild and recalibrate. And so here are the questions for you. What strategies do you rely upon to rebuild after a setback? In what ways have you prepared yourself to become comfortable with being uncomfortable? How has your experience as a justice-impacted person influenced your mindset? What does recalibrating mean to you? And finally, in what ways have you recalibrated since coming into the system? The word of the day is debacle. Define debacle and use debacle in a sentence. Now, the reason I want to share that story with you is right now, today, if you're a justice-impacted person, it may feel like this is all you have to get through. Unfortunately, once the government targets you and you become somebody, a number within this system, the reality, as I experienced it, is you're always a target. You are always vulnerable. I sometimes wonder as I'm walking down the road and I see somebody and I wonder, what must it feel like to be able to go through life and feel as if no one is watching you? No one is going to bring you into the system. You're not going to be a target. Because I don't know what that feels like anymore. And I have gone through 26 years in prison. I've emerged successfully. I've made millions of dollars. I've lost millions of dollars. And I've made them again. What I can tell you is regardless of what's going on, we always have to find the way to create meaning in our life. And my hopes are that you are using your time right now as you are going through perhaps the biggest crisis you've ever faced to figure out, how can I create meaning out of this challenge and this struggle? How could I use this experience to grow stronger and prepare me so that I am very confident when the next crisis comes and I can overcome it? Those are the kinds of lessons that we strive to teach with prison professors. We want you to figure out ways to define success, to create a plan, to develop tools, tactics, and resource, put priorities in place, execute your plan, and hold yourself accountable. This is a daily activity, and that's why we offer our daily discussions. So if you're listening to this on iTunes or watching on YouTube, I do hope that you will subscribe. If you're using these courses as you work through the challenges of a sentence inside of a jail or a prison, it's my hope that you will really use these exercises, these self-directed exercises, to develop more skills so that you could emerge with your dignity intact. My name is Michael Santos. I'm the founder of Prison Professors, and I believe in you.